Well, thank you everybody for attending our 1 hour to savvy cybersecurity, 10 threats every person and business faces and how to fight them now. As you can see there, I am Bill Romeo and my lovely wife Maria are the owners of Everest Retirement Planners, home of the Tenzing Formula in Matthews, North Carolina. And part of our value add for our clients and their friends and family is to put together programs like this. 2 seconds. That's how often someone becomes a victim of identity theft. And last year, there were over 14 million victims of identity theft or fraud. Are you one of those 14 million? Has your personal information been exposed in a data breach or hack? The statistics will say most likely. I mean, the past few years, if you just watch television, you'll know we've seen record breaking breaches. And you see only a few of the big ones listed here. LinkedIn exposed data of over 700 million people. 530 million Facebook users were victim to a data breach that exposed their phone numbers, their full names, locations, email addresses, and more. Yahoo took first place for the biggest breach in history with news of a hack that affected every single Yahoo account that was over 3 billion users. And these are only some of the breaches that occurred in the last few years. I mean, given those statistics, it's likely that your personal information has landed in the hands of a hacker. In addition, new threats are exposed every day. Even as we sit here now doing this class, a vast array of cyber attacks are just pounding at the walls of the security networks that were built to protect you and your digital persona on the internet. And what I'm going to say next really sounds a bit dramatic, but it is completely true. A world of dark forces and criminal networks conspire day and night to steal your username, your password, obtain your social security number, open credit cards in your name, drain your bank account, and seize your computer to hold it for ransom. The authors of the book Cybersecurity and Cyber War contend that a cyber world war is underway and we are all involved in it, whether we like it or not. And our biggest problem, they say, is that we face a cybersecurity knowledge gap. And that's why I'm here today. As I'm doing this not only for you, but for everyone that uses a computer, gets online, puts in a username and a password. I mean, I'm worried. I'm worried for myself, my family, my clients, and the community. And it's a serious growing problem. But I don't think it's a reason for despair. Most people just don't realize how vulnerable they are or what they can do to maximize their security. Hopefully, by the end of the presentation today, you will leave better prepared to protect yourself, your family, and your business from the quietly raging cyber war that's targeting us all. So today I'm here to help you create a personal cybersecurity system that will keep you and your family safe. First, you're going to need to take a short quiz to determine your cyber security score, and we'll do that in a moment. Then, once you know your vulnerabilities, I'll teach you the new cybersecurity rules. And these are actions that you can take that will boost your score. And hopefully, at the end of the presentation, you'll take that action pledge where you're going to pick 3 actions to take right away, sign and date the form, and go ahead and implement it. Thanks again for joining us. As I stated earlier, my name is Bill Romeo. That's my wife, Maria. And we do this as a value add for our clients, their friends, and their family because everything we do, especially when it comes to the financial part of your life, is online, right? And this is where we are most vulnerable. So we have a ton to cover. Let's jump right in. I show you this slide because this is our infamous Tenzing formula named after Norgay Tenzing, who was the first Sherpa to help Sir Edmund Hillary summit Mount Everest. And like a good Sherpa, our company wants to guide you through all aspects of retirement planning. And as you can see here, we fall under today's pillar of value added services over there at around 10 o'clock. It has to be in conjunction with everything else because if you look at that list, you're going to say, boy, I probably go online to do if not half, but all of those things. And this is where cybersecurity can take their revenge on you. We need to now discover your cybersecurity score. So if you haven't done so already, please get that cybersecurity guide that was sent to you. And if you don't have one and you're on this webinar, please feel free to reach out to our office at Bill Romeo at retirewiteverest.com, or you can call us at 704-708-5001, and we will get you one of these guides. But if you have it now, take it out, look at it. And under the part of the guide that says scorecard, I want you to take a few minutes to answer the questions yes or no. So if you're home and you don't have this card, go ahead and just write this down, write your answers down on a piece of paper. Okay. So we're going to give you 5 points for each question that you answer yes. You're going to add up your points and you're going to determine your rating by looking at part B. Now, don't be discouraged if you score low. Most people do. I mean, knowing where you stand is the first step in creating your cyber security plan. So let me go through these questions, okay? First question. I have one email address that I use exclusively for my online financial accounts, banking, credit cards, payment services, etc., and nothing else. Yes or no? Okay, next one. I have two-step verification or two-factor authentication turned on for my email and online financial accounts. I can spot the difference between dangerous free public Wi-Fi and useful secure free public Wi-Fi. I understand how to tell if my home Wi-Fi network is vulnerable to hackers and how to boost the network security. Whenever any money leaves my bank accounts or my credit cards are charged, I'm alerted to the transaction. Everybody doing okay so far, right? You're writing down yes or no for these questions. Here we go. Continuing. I have complete control over my credit files as the big three bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, because I have placed them on the highest security level. I have confirmed with the credit bureaus that my minor children have not been the victims of identity theft and frozen their credit files. I run an updated antivirus software program on my computers and devices. I always make sure that my computer and devices have the most up-to-date software programs, including operating system, browsers, Microsoft Office, iTunes Player, virus protection, wireless router, and Adobe programs. I have a system for ensuring that I can recover from a ransomware phishing attack without paying an extortion fee to a criminal. And last but not least, oh, that is last. So go ahead and for every answer that you put down a yes, give yourself 5 points, and we're going to determine your rating. All right. And that's listed there on the card. And so, therefore, if your rating is high, great for you. Pat yourself on the back. If your rating is a little bit low, you're going to stay here through the rest of this program, and we're going to try to raise your score by giving you the knowledge to do so. All right, now let's learn the new cybersecurity rules. Now, I believe you can develop 3 cybersecurity mindsets to strengthen and maintain in your cybersecurity so that staying safe is simple. The 3 mindsets cover various parts of your life, and they overlap to form a sweet spot that you see there in the middle of actions that will boost your cybersecurity score. Each mindset alone provides greater security, but the combination of the 3 really makes you secure. Each mindset contains a group of actions for people to take called the new cybersecurity rules. And I'm going to explain all 3 mindsets and the associated rules. So let's take a look at the first one. Now, we all need more secrecy in our lives, and that is why our first key idea, adopting a new level of secrecy, can boost your security and cyber confidence. The secrecy mindset entails keeping your personal and private data private. With all the massive amounts of data breaches suffered by corporations and governments, we need to act as if our personal data already exists in the hands of cyber criminals, because you know what? It likely does. And we all need to draw a tighter ring of security around our personal data. And that starts with your email. Now, our email address is the key to our digital lives, and we share it with countless businesses, organizations, and people. And if you've used the internet for any amount of time, you have entered your email address at a host of online accounts for shopping, traveling, exercising, gaming, dating, and more. And we don't even think twice about this. But having your email addresses in so many databases puts you at a significant risk. Hackers routinely will breach these security networks of many organizations that hold your primary email address. And that stolen personal data paired with poor email security leads to a disaster. Now, Robert Siciliano, he's the CEO of identitytheftsecurity.com, and he's a security writer. He explains, quote, it has been said that if you own a personal email, you own the person. This means that once your email is hacked, pretty much your entire digital life is up for grabs. So even if you've done your due diligence and you have all your passwords to be different, if your email is hacked and it's associated with your online accounts, the hacker could simply use a reset password and get access to all other accounts. End quote. So, um, here's an example, right? We're going to take the story uh, of a professor and a software security expert, Herbert Thompson. Now, Thompson, he bet a friend that he could hack into her bank account. And with her permission, he began. What did he do? First, he simply Googled her name and he stumbled upon a blog that she was writing online. And he came across an old resume. Now, from the blog, he got her personal email address and her old college email address from her resume. Thompson was able to use the I forgot my password feature on her college email account to get in using the personal information she listed on her resume. And once he reset that password, he was able to reset her current email address, having the link sent to her college email. Now, once he was in her personal email, he could reset her online banking password. Now, okay, you may not care if someone hacks into your Food Network or Yelp account, but you certainly don't want your online banking exposed in the same way. And that's why you need to create a separate secret email for your financial accounts. And this email address should be unidentifiable. Don't use your first name, last name, initials, or other identifying information. Okay. It should also be protected by a strong and unique password. A separate email address will reduce your digital footprint. And if your primary non financial email address is exposed in a hack, it will not be connected to your financial accounts. This is one of the key steps in boosting your security. And our email addresses need to be protected by good, strong passwords. But we all face something called the password paradox. Now, that's the easy to remember passwords. They are also very easy to break. Hard to break passwords are very hard to remember. So many passwords we use are really child's play for hackers. Computer power gets stronger with each passing year. That means the bad guys can figure out your password in no time flat. So, how long does it take for a computer to crack 1,000 weak passwords? According to our stats, 17 minutes. And one reason for this is that people choose passwords that have less than 6 characters, or they use names, dictionary words, or other common passwords like, you're going to hate this, quote unquote, password or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are other ways to think about passwords. I mean, you could create a mnemonic phrase with numbers or symbols thrown in. For instance, a woman I know takes the first line of a prayer that she says every day and uses the first letter of each of the first 10 words of the prayer. She adds some numbers and symbols and has a very strong password. Or you could use a poem, song lyrics, or a phrase. You see an example there. Or you could try this. You could create a password that embodies a goal that you're trying to reach, such as exercising, quitting smoking, or saving money. This is especially good when you need to change your password like every 6 months. And each time that you type your password, instead of being a negative drag on your brain, it'll positively reinforce that specific goal. And you see an example here. You can get as creative as you like. Now, remember to drop out some letters and replace them with symbols to boost your password strength. Okay. And by the way, on the back of your Savvy cybersecurity reference guide that we gave you, there's a letter to symbol conversion chart to help you. Now, another technique is called the diceware method. And here you're going to roll a die 5 times and you're going to record each number. Now repeat that process 4 more times so you have 5 digit numbers. Then go to www.diceware.com and match your 5 digit numbers to the list of 7,776 words. And those random 5 words will become your password. So remember, that's www.diceware.com. And you may be thinking, how am I going to remember all that? We all know the number of passwords we have is growing, and it's nearly impossible to remember a unique and strong password for all of your accounts, which is why I recommend seeking out a password manager. Now, the password manager stores all of your passwords in an encrypted file that's stored on your computer or in the cloud. And that file with all those passwords is protected with a master password. And the only password you have to remember is the master password. So, of course, you want that password to be as strong as possible. I personally use a password manager called Keeper Security. That's KEEPER Security. Now, they do not pay me to say that. We do not compensate each other. And of course, you use it at your own risk. But it was recommended to us by our cybersecurity department with our firm, and it's been working wonderfully for me for many years. And talk about creating very hard passwords. Keeper Security will create passwords up to 30 characters in length. You never have to remember one of them, and it's all stored in the cloud. So if you want more information on that, please feel free to call the office. I'll be happy to share my information. Okay. Creating strong passwords is just the first step in your account protection plan. We need to put another layer of security on all important accounts such as email, online banking, social media, and more. And that extra layer is a relatively new trend in online security called two-step verification or sometimes two-factor authentication. I know I'm seeing it more and more, but if you don't have it, it needs to be enabled or added to any account that you have that supports the technology. Now, with this approach, when you start to log into an account online, you are sent a very short-lived one-time passcode, and you must use that passcode to finish logging in. You can receive this code via a text message or something called an authenticator application. Now, the authenticator app is the most secure option, and it is more difficult for hackers to compromise. Some popular authentication apps are Google Authenticator and Microsoft Authenticator. And I have used both, and they are awesome. Now, this method stops your accounts from getting hacked because it requires two separate things, right? Something you know, your password, and something you have, a temporary code. So even if a hacker has your password, he won't gain access, and you'll then be alerted if someone is trying to break into your account. If you get a code, and you have not tried to log in, you know something is up. And at that point, you'll want to change your password. And you don't have to worry about entering a code every time you log into your account from your device because many of these sites designate or allow you to designate your computer as a safe device where you only need to enter the verification code like once every 30 days when logging in from that device. But definitely got to make sure this is enabled. Now that we know how to lock down our passwords, it's time to talk about when it is safe to log into those accounts. And it's certainly true that we all love free internet access when we're out and about and we want to be connected, but the free connection can end up being very costly. And these free networks are completely open, and hackers can gain access to anything you do while connected. Your email, your credit card number, your bank account, you see the pattern here? It could be very bad. So when connected, to free public Wi Fi, please avoid making financial transactions or checking your email. Instead, use your smartphone as a hotspot. And when you do, you'll be using your data, which provides a private connection rather than the public wireless network. And most everyone nowadays has unlimited data with their phone package. If you don't, I can understand the hesitation to do that, but it is more secure than just going on a public Wi Fi network. If you need to connect regularly on the go, please consider a VPN, a virtual private network. Now, this device allows you to create your own private Wi Fi network anywhere you go. So, if you are going to use the public Wi Fi, incorporate that with a VPN, and you have more security than you had before. Now, what about your home Wi Fi network? I mean, your home wireless network can open the doors to you and your family's digital life if your router is not properly protected. And there are four main things that you must do to lock down your router and Wi Fi networks from the hackers. Now, I'm going to warn you, some of these more technical actions that you'll have to take might be confusing. Now, don't be discouraged if this sounds difficult to you. I joke around and I say, just find a teenager. They will help you with this probably immediately. But if you're confused, you know, find that tech person in your life for help. To do these steps, you're going to have to log into your router's IP address. And if you don't know your router's IP address, you can usually find it in the manual or by searching the make and model of your router online. Now, number one, you need to change the default username and password. Okay, hackers know what these are and they will try to use them to break into your network. So pick a strong password. Encrypt your router. Be sure to select the strongest encryption setting for your router, like WPA2 or WPA3. WEP or WEP is no longer considered secure, and you should replace your router if your only option is WEP. Now, I need you to disable the Wi-Fi protected setup or WPS. Disable that because this feature allows others to quickly connect to your network with a short passcode rather than having to type the whole password. But it can lead to strangers gaining access, right? We don't want that. If you don't have the option to fully disable this feature, see if you can limit the number of attempts a person can make to log in before they're shut out. And last but not least, update your router's firmware. And that's a fancy word for software. Okay. The majority of routers come with outdated software, which leaves your network vulnerable to attacks. Updating your firmware sounds like a daunting task, but it's not that bad. Just follow the instructions in your user manual for detailed instructions. Now, if you go ahead and you're getting your router from Spectrum, it's automatically going to be uploading with new firmware all the time. Okay, but if you buy one off the shelf at a store, you need to follow that process. We need to know what's going on with our cybersecurity at all times. And that's why this second key idea, completing certain actions, can help you achieve financial cyber omniscience and thwart fraud, is important. Now, achieving omniscience. Now, what I mean by that is financial omniscience or all knowingness. This will put you at the center of your financial life, and that starts with using technology so you're totally aware of what funds are leaving your accounts or being charged to your accounts at all times. Um, let's talk to you about something that happened to a person by the name of Leslie Frederickson. It's a little story I have here. Um, on Black Friday, like many people, Frederickson shopped at her local Target and nabbed a few money saving Christmas gifts. And everything seemed well, right? Then a week before Christmas, the news broke of a data breach at Target. And Frederickson, like many, hoped it didn't involve her. But a few days before Christmas, the bank told her that she had overdrawn her account by $100. And she quickly learned that someone else had used her debit card 4 times, charging nearly $1,000. Now, her card was useless, and the bank told her it would be weeks before she could get a new one. Frederickson's Christmas was kind of ruined because she had to borrow money to help pay for her holiday dinner and the January rent. And if she only had been alerted about the fraudulent charges earlier. Now, it's not hopeless. You can protect your payment cards from the swarm of hackers and data breaches. What you need to do is sign up for alert notifications with your bank and credit card companies. And by doing so, you're going to get a text or email alert every time a change or a withdrawal is made. The banks know instantly when charges are made to accounts. Why shouldn't we? Signing up for these instant alerts are going to bring you a little bit closer to achieving the omniscience mindset. Now, this slide is absolutely critical to everyone's cybersecurity. Let's see what I mean here. This is something people don't quite understand about their credit files. By default, your credit files are open. And that means anyone with enough information to impersonate you may be able to open a new line of credit in your name. And it happens all the time, and it's a major source of identity theft. And when you consider how many private and public organizations have been hacked, institutions we've trusted with our social security numbers, employment history, and other details about our financial lives, I mean, you need to be worried about the state of your credit file at the big three agencies. And we need to take back that control. And we need to do it through a credit freeze. Now, a credit freeze is going to block your credit file with a PIN number. And no new credit can be issued in your name unless you lift the freeze with your special PIN number. And you will have to contact each of the three credit bureaus separately. Now, credit freezes are free in every state, thanks to a federal law that was passed in 2018. And previously, it used to cost us up to $10 every time we would freeze our our uh, our credit history at one of these agencies. But a credit freeze will put you in control, and it's way more secure than credit monitoring or a fraud alert, both of which will alert you only after the credit has been issued in your name. And with a credit freeze, you can prevent identity theft from happening instead of cleaning up after your identity theft nightmare. But it's not just your credit that you need to be concerned about. I mean, experts say that 500,000 children will suffer from identity theft every year. Why? Because their clean records are very attractive to thieves looking to open new accounts without any issues. And the theft can go unnoticed for years because parents aren't looking there. Guardians aren't looking there. They don't think to check their children's records. But childhood identity theft can lead to a lifetime of fraud and ruined credit. And the first step in protecting your children is ensuring they have no credit report by contacting all three of the credit bureaus. Now, if we haven't mentioned this already, the three credit bureaus are Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Now, parents should send a letter including copies of the child's birth certificate, listing them as the parent, their driver's license, and proof of address to all three of the credit reporting agencies and ask for a manual search of their child's social security number. If no report is found, you are in luck, and you should still periodically check on your child's status. If a report is found, it's usually a sign that your child now has been victimized, and you need to ask the credit bureaus to immediately place a credit freeze on your child's record and investigate further. You can now request a credit freeze for your child in every state. Previously, it was dependent on your state of residence, but now it's federal law. And you will again have to contact all three of the bureaus individually. So if you are a grandparent listening to this and your son or daughter are not on the call, the webinar today, please relay this information to them. Our third cybersecurity key idea has to do with mindfulness. Now, achieving a sense of mindfulness when it comes to cybersecurity allows you to stay alert without becoming fatigued. And what does that mean? We need to be in a state of relaxed alertness when dealing with cybersecurity. Fighter pilots have an acronym for this state, and it's called OODA, OODA, and it stands for observation, orientation, decision, and action. Zen masters will use the phrase mindfulness. And when Google completed their own analysis of the worldwide security uh, practices, they also recommended mindfulness as a part of cybersecurity. Mindfulness will relate to your day to day cybersecurity practices. Now, 9 out of 10 security experts say running updated software is necessary for strong security. Out of date software allows hackers to plant viruses and malicious software on your devices. Yet 40% of computer users don't update their software in a timely fashion. And security experts say 75 to 80% of the computer hacks they see relate to outdated software. So always take advantage of software updates. Hackers are going to exploit those security holes in that unpatched software, which allows them to install malware and viruses on your unprotected devices. And now, this malware could record everything you do or kidnap your computer for ransom. So, you want to be sure that all the software and programs on your devices are up to date. And that includes the operating system, your browsers, Microsoft Office, Adobe programs, and more. Now, many programs allow you to enable auto updates, and you should always enable this on all of your programs that allow it. A good place to start to see if a program will auto update is on your computer in the Security or Settings tab. Now, you can always Google the name of the program and the auto update to get that information, but please check this out. And it's a good idea to install a good antivirus program on your computer. There are many out there. If you want to give me a call at the office, I'll tell you what we use, just so that you don't feel like I'm trying to represent a specific company, but get a good antivirus program and make sure that that is always up to date as well. And periodically, go through the programs on your device and please uninstall anything you do not use. I mean, the fewer programs you have, the fewer holes for hackers to attack. One type of malware that we mentioned on a previous slide that kidnaps your computer and holds it for ransom, that's called ransomware. And it's one of the biggest threats today. And in this type of attack, hackers will now infect your device with malware that encrypts everything on your computer, and you can no longer access any of your files. And in order to get your files back, right, you got to pay a ransom, and it's usually Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin supposedly is untraceable. I don't know. Um, but anyway, how many of us deal with Bitcoin? So right there, you're like, what? How do I even do this? But in order to avoid all of these ransomware cyber crooks, you need to follow the rule of three. Now, what's the rule of three? You need to back up all your files in three different places. First is on your computer. Next, you need to save a copy of your files and data to a physical backup device like an external hard drive. And lastly, you need to save your data to a cloud service like Dropbox or iCloud or OneDrive. Now, the cloud is an internet connected server that syncs with your device. Now, if somebody takes your computer for ransom, you didn't lose your data. That's the whole meaning behind this rule. Now, ransomware attacks are normally spread through a method called phishing, and that's with a PH, phishing. Phishing messages are emails that impersonate a legitimate company or person and are designated to steal your personal information or install malware on your machine through a malicious link. Now, hackers are sending out about 94 billion of these messages every day. Most will get caught in your spam filter, and most you'll look at and you'll say, oh, yep, that's not a real email, I get it. But some will find their way to your inbox. Now, I need you to take the 10-second cybersecurity rule that will help you fend off these phishers. And the acronym is email, EMAIL, and it stands for examine, message, and inspect links. Okay, I'll say that again, email, examine, message, and inspect links. So let's take this one step at a time. The first half of the acronym, examine message, starts with the subject line. Now, phishers will try to get us to react quickly to some sort of urgent situation. Often they will make the subject line something frightening, such as warning, or account closing, or security alert. And It gets you nervous, right? Summary are more subtle, but still require you to take action, like, hey, mail delivery failed, or return message to sender, or incoming fax received. And you may be like, oh, should I click on this? Well, subject lines like this should alert us that this may be a phishing attack. Now, we need to discover the true sender of the email. And the way you do this is to hover your mouse over the display name, and a small box will appear with the true email address. And this should give you a clue that it's not real. Other suspicious things to look for include if they refer to you as a customer, or sir or madam, instead of your own name. Maybe you see poor grammar, or a vague signature line with false contract information. Be suspicious of unsolicited emails with attachments. Never click or open an unsolicited attachment. If it looks like a resume, a receipt, a video, or a soundbite, it could be a .exe file that now will plant a virus on your computer as it seizes it for ransom. Bill's recommendation: if you don't recognize it and you weren't expecting it, delete it. Okay? Delete it, because if somebody really wanted you to have that, they will probably call you or send you an email, say, did you get my attachment? And you'll say no. Can you send it again? Now you're expecting it and you'll get it. Okay. The second part of the 10-second email rule has to do with the links in the message. This is where you need to inspect these links. Just like you did with the sender, you want to hover your mouse over any link or hyperlinked text and be sure that the link is truly directing you to the correct website, not to some gibberish numbers and letters and somebody else's name. Okay. If it looks fishy, just delete it. You can always contact the organization directly and ask if they sent you the email. Now, this needs to be part of your daily cybersecurity practice. Make it a habit so you can thwart off fishers without thinking about it. We learned a lot today. And I think if you look at that cybersecurity guide that we sent you, you're going to see that there's an action plan commitment on there. So research shows that we are more likely to do something if we write it down. So I talked about a ton today. Take out your reference card, turn it to the back side, look at that checklist, and write down 3 actions that you plan on taking immediately. I don't even care if you have a napkin in front of you. Get out a pen or a pencil and just write something down. Okay. And I want you to sign it. And that's your own commitment to yourself that you'll take the action to check out your router. Make sure that it doesn't have WEP. Make sure that you're going to review your emails, etc. And if you want to holler at me and have me go over a few things to help wash out those 3 items, I'd be happy to do that. Okay. Now, while you're finishing up your action plan, um, we'd love to get your feedback on the presentation, or at least this part of the presentation. We still have the uh, how to hack proof your smartphone next. But I wanted to show you here that there's a book that's called Hack Proof Your Life Now. And we actually have copies of this book in our office, and we'd love to share it with you. So if you're interested in seeing it, if you're a client, stop in. We'll give it to you, no obligation, free of charge. Just go ahead and look at it, and then if you want, we can send it to somebody else. But it's available on Amazon.com. It's a cheap, no, I shouldn't say cheap. It's inexpensive. If it's $10, it's a lot, I think. But it's a wonderful book for you, which basically regurgitates all the slides that we showed you today and goes a little bit more in depth. But anyway, we try to send out cybersecurity articles periodically and keep an eye out for those as we see them. Okay. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this part of the program. And as you can see with the Tenzing formula, this is one of our value-added services that we shared with you today. And now we're making our way over to hack proof your smartphone. So we just have a few slides to go over here. I hope you can still join us and we'll try to get you out of here by 7:30. Okay. We all have smartphones and they're not immune from hackers. So it makes sense that if we're trying to protect our computers from hackers, well, what are our cell phones? They are nothing more than mini powerful computers in our pocket. And we are on there all day long with texting and emails and Googling and et cetera, et cetera. They also hold all of our personal information and it's a gold mine for hackers that they want to get their hands on, and we need to protect these devices correctly. So, we're going to be going over 8 things that you can do that will make your smartphone more secure. Now, we have a lot to cover, and I want to be sure we get um, everything covered in a timely manner. So, here we go. I apologize. I had a cough, so I put us on mute for a second. Uh, Jared Kenna of Columbia was working late one night when he received a notification that the passwords on 2 of his email accounts had been changed. He then attempted to reset the passwords himself, worrying that someone had control of his account but never got the text message code he needed to complete the reset. He calls his phone company to make sure he paid his bill on time, thinking that may be why he did not get the text message, but they tell him, "You don't have a phone with us. You just transferred your phone to another company." Someone had forwarded Kenna's number from T-Mobile to a carrier called Bandwidth that had a Google Voice account linked to it. And all of Kenna's texts and calls were being routed to the Google Voice account. With control of his phone number, the hackers began resetting Kenna's passwords, and the text message verification codes were sent to them instead of Kenna. And within 10 minutes, they changed the password on 2 email accounts, 2 banks, PayPal, 2 Bitcoin services, his Windows account, and about 20 more accounts. What's worse, Kenna was an early adopter of Bitcoin and had millions of dollars worth saved on an encrypted hard drive. A few weeks before the hack, Kenna had moved the Bitcoins online and protected them with a 30-character password. But the hackers got in and moved the coins. Kenna lost millions. And when the story was released, Kenna still did not have control of his phone number back. How did this happen? Well, Jared Kenna was missing a crucial security feature on his mobile phone account. It was a PIN number. Now, we're not talking about a passcode, uh, although you should have that as well. But a PIN is something you use to make changes to your mobile account online or over the phone. This means that anytime you call your mobile carrier like Verizon or T-Mobile or whatever, and you want to make changes to your account, you're going to be prompted to enter a special PIN number before you can add or remove any phone numbers or change any billing info. And it is the number one thing you should do to protect your smartphone from hackers. And we've seen countless of examples of this scam happen to businesses and individuals. And I heard the story of one business where the CFO was targeted and hackers got in and forwarded his number to their own number with the intention of getting into the company bank account. Now, they didn't succeed, but it was frightening and it took a long time to clean up. So, to do so, I want you to all call your mobile phone carrier and ask to put a PIN on your account. So, write that down. Smartphone security seems to be a pain point for most people, and that makes sense because our smartphones hold a lot of data. They hold contacts, pictures, emails, banking apps, social media accounts, notes, maybe a calendar, messages, and even some sensitive work info, and even more. And our cell phone number is one key into our digital life. Like Jared Kenna, many of us use our phone numbers as part of our security system. If you have two-factor authentication set up on your accounts, you know that a special code is going to be sent to your mobile device to complete the login process. And if a hacker already knows your password, controlling your phone number is the final step, meaning a hacked mobile account could turn into a hacked digital life. Now, the need to protect our smartphones from hackers is pretty obvious. And we've tried hard to educate ourselves on cybersecurity as a whole because it affects everyone. And we're all worried about a hacker coming in and wiping out our bank accounts clean. And I think it's our duty to help you protect yourself from these threats too. Now, we have a lot more to cover, and we want to spend some time answering some questions when you guys get in touch with us. So, let me see if we can get through this. But we're going to be giving general instructions today on iPhones and Android devices. And it may not be exactly the same for your device, but a quick Google search of the action and your device should help you find these step by step instructions. So, here we go. How to hack proof your smartphone, 8 steps. Number one, protect your mobile account with a PIN. That's what we were talking about earlier with Jared Kenna's account. And just as a review, we're talking about setting up a PIN with your mobile account carrier, not a PIN on your personal device. So anytime you make changes to your mobile account online or over the phone or in the store, you're going to need to provide this PIN number. It's essentially like freezing your credit, like we talked about earlier. But until that PIN is given, your account can't be changed. So remember, set this up, call your mobile carrier. Don't pick a PIN that's easy to guess. No birth date or the last four numbers of your phone number or social security number. Okay. The second action you need to take is to lock your phone with a passcode. And here we're talking about your physical device. A study by Consumer Reports found that 2 million smartphone tablets are stolen each year, and millions more are lost. And those picking up your phones are curious. You're going to want to check it out. So Symantec did an experiment where they dropped 50 smartphones in a common area like a mall with food courts and elevators. Now, none of these phones had passcodes. They discovered that 89% of the people who found them opened up personal apps such as online banking. 60% opened up social media and email apps. 57% tried to open a passwords file. And while 50% of the finders tried to contact the owner of the phone, half of them also took a dive into the owner's personal life. Now, this is such an easy task, folks, but yet 1/3 of smartphone owners don't protect their device with a passcode. You want to choose the most secure passcode option available to you. So, for iPhone users, that means selecting a 6-digit numeric code or the custom alphanumeric code. Go visit the settings and then touch ID and security. Now, Android users can choose between a lock pattern, a 4-digit passcode, or a 16-digit passcode. A lot of people like using the lock pattern, but it's not that secure because someone who finds your phone could possibly guess the pattern by seeing your fingerprints on the screen. So obvious. Now, the 16 character passcode is the most secure option, and you can set this passcode in your settings. A simple passcode will protect your privacy in case your phone is lost or stolen. An added plus of adding a passcode to your phone is that it will actually encrypt all the data as well. And on iPhones running iOS 15 or later and Android devices running Android 6.0 Marshmallow, with this change, neither Apple nor Google can access the data on your phone. Only your passcode can decrypt the files. Now, if you're an activist and you may want to consider disabling the Touch ID feature on your iPhone, I mean, law enforcement can force you to use your finger to unlock your phone, but they cannot force you to give up your passcode. Use a Find My Device program. If your phone is lost or stolen, you're going to be glad that you put a passcode on it, but you also want a way to try to get it back. I mean, both Apple and Android phones have built in features that allow you to track your phone. It could also remotely turn it off and it can lock your device and even delete the data that's stored on the device if need be. For Apple users, you call this Find My iPhone, and you can enable it by going into Settings, iCloud, and enabling enabling the Find My iPhone feature. Android released the Android Device Manager for their devices. And to turn this on, you need to go to Settings, Google Settings, and then Security. Note that for both type of these devices, you're going to need to have your location services on for the features to work. Next, you better be updating your software and apps, folks. A lot of times people are very reluctant to update their phone software because they don't want a new operating system that changes how everything looks. And the problem there is that these updates are not just cosmetic. They also close known security vulnerabilities with your device. Putting off the update just because you don't want your Messages app to change is putting your security at risk. So, for example, Apple released an update a while ago that closed some serious security issues, including one that allowed a malicious app to take complete control of your phone. That vulnerability would have allowed hackers to add files, delete files, install malware, record conversations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, you need to update the operating system when you get that notification. Now, if you have an iPhone and it's constantly telling you that you are running out of storage and you don't have room for the update, here's a trick. You can update your iPhone OS by plugging your phone into your computer and updating via iTunes. The operating system is not the only program on your phone that you need to keep updated. All your apps need to be updated as well. Again, sometimes it may seem like the update is just cosmetic, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Hackers can find their way into your phone through unupdated apps, so be sure you are updating always. And as a note, you only want to be downloading apps from the official App Store for your device. So, Apple's App Store or Google Play is where you need to go. Apps not sold in these stores are not checked for malware or privacy settings and could compromise your privacy and security. Another important action you need to do regularly is to back it up. And you should be backing up your phone in two places, the cloud and your computer. And the reason you want to regularly back up your phone is so that if something does happen, you can download malware. I mean, your phone is then hacked. You can do a factory reset and essentially erase your phone while knowing your data is safe in two other places. And once you clear your phone, you can re download your data from a backup. A backup will protect you if you lose your phone as well, so you'll be able to move everything to your new device. Now, your smartphone is essentially a mini computer, and you got to treat it as such. So, we protect all of our computers with antivirus software. And if you use an Android phone, you'll need to find a good antivirus program for it also. Attacks on Android devices are really continuing to grow. Now, the antivirus program that you use for your computer may also come with one for your phone, so you want to look into that. Some of the highest rated antivirus programs for Android phones are Avast, as you see here, Bitdefender, and McAfee. But do your research and find the program that works best for you. iPhone users cannot install antivirus apps on their phone. In 2015, Apple began pulling antivirus apps from the App Store, saying that iOS works very secure on its own. And if you do a search of the App Store, you may see apps for some of the big name antivirus companies. Now, those apps, however, are not true antivirus apps. Instead, they do things like they put an extra lock on your phone or include a Find My Device feature, but they don't scan for viruses or malware on your device. If you use an iPhone, keeping your iOS up to date will keep you protected. One of the best things about having a smartphone is that you can connect to the internet anywhere and anytime, but that ease of connection leaves you at risk. If you connect to an unsecure Wi Fi on your device, you are now susceptible to hacking and spying. And many hackers will create spoofed Wi Fi networks that look like real networks that maybe you've connected to in the past or networks that should be trusted. Like when you go to Starbucks and it says Starbucks One Network, and if you connect, the hacker can then install malware on your device and steal your data, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if you have to connect to an unsecure Wi-Fi, and by that we mean the public Wi-Fi at your local coffee shop, you don't want to access any sensitive info. That means don't log into your email, although that's what we mainly use our phones for, right? Don't do any online banking. Don't enter your credit card anywhere. If you do any of these when you're on the go, turn off the Wi-Fi and use your data, please. Okay. Doing so will basically turn your phone into a hotspot and will create a more private connection for you to use. Of course, if you have a limited amount of data, you're going to want to monitor that closely. But like I said, most people have unlimited data. So this shouldn't be an issue. If you connect a lot on the go, you may want to consider then investing in a mobile hotspot device. Now, most phones become their own mobile hotspot device, and you're charged uh, to your carrier. But if you want to get a separate standalone, they cost anywhere from $50 to $130, plus whatever the cost of wireless broadband. And you treat that device as you would your wireless router in your house. You got to choose the strongest encryption settings, like we discussed earlier, and change that default username and password. And you don't want strangers using your connection. So another good option is a VPN, right? A virtual private network. It creates a private internet connection for you to use via the available Wi-Fi, and it's basically encrypted, and it's a tunnel, an encryption tunnel from your device to the internet. Again, this is something you want to do research on and find the best one that fits your needs. Some highly rated VPN apps are VPN by NordVPN, Private Internet Access VPN, VPN, or TunnelBear VPN. If you want more information on this, please call the office and I'll make sure you're aware of these choices or options. Now, if you use a Nexus phone, you're in luck because Nexus phones, they run 5.1 and above. They have a feature called Wi-Fi Assistant, and that automatically connects you to open Wi-Fi, but it also connects to a VPN managed by Google. It doesn't yet work on all Wi-Fi connections, but you can enable the feature through settings, Google networking, and Wi-Fi assistant. Very important that you turn off your Bluetooth when you're not using it. Like an unsecure wireless network, hackers can spoof these and gain access to your device. Now, in recent years, 60 Minutes did a piece on smartphone vulnerability, and in it, they spoke to a researcher who explained how hackers could listen in and record any conversation, read your messages, and track your location. This is possible due to a flaw in Signaling System 7 or SS7, which is a virtual global network that connects phone carriers. And it's the system that allows different mobile carriers to exchange billing information and allows your phone to have service while you're roaming. The problem is that criminals have found a way into this SS7 system, which allows them to intercept and record any calls. So, what's the solution? To keep your communications private, encrypt your messages. Now, I know the word encryption sounds complicated and it scares people, but this technology has made the process pretty easy. Encrypted messages can only be read by people communicating in the conversation. To everyone else, the message looks like random characters slung together. So Apple has iMessage, and the messaging platform used between iPhones is encrypted by default, but only if you're communicating with another iPhone. Facebook message Facebook's messaging system is also encrypted if you choose a new feature called secret conversations when using the Facebook Messenger app. Um, and you'll only be doing this if you're running the updated version of Messenger, and if the person you're communicating with also has an updated version of the app. Okay, this is another reason to update your apps all the time. Now, there's also something called WhatsApp, Pretty Good Privacy, and Signal. Those are encryption messaging apps that are popular in the security industry. Now, WhatsApp can only be used for messages, while Signal now has an encrypted calling feature, keeping your voice messages secure as well. Pretty Good Privacy app is an email encryption service. And so, for all of these, the person that you're communicating with also has to have the program. All right, these are all the actions you need to take and protect your smartphone from the hackers. Okay, mobile PIN account, passcode on the phone, find my phone app, update software and apps, backup device regularly, protect phone with antivirus, use a safe Wi Fi connection, and encrypt communication. Like all parts of cybersecurity, you need to decide on the level of protection you want for your smartphone. All right, one last time to show you the Tenzing formula. I hope you found everything we discussed tonight a value added service, folks. There was a lot we threw at you, kind of like drinking through a fire hose, but just know that you can reach out to me at any time and we'll help walk you through areas of the program that maybe you wanted to take more notes about or have some questions on. It was our pleasure to put this together for you. I hope you found value in it. As always, Maria and I just wish you all the best. We want to keep you safe. Thanks for attending tonight's program. Please come back and do another one soon. You have a good evening and God bless.